All right, I believe we're on live right now and everything should be working. And I'm going to test this out in a half second through my phone. Uh, Sometimes you get these little tech issues that pop up, and it does happen at times. So let's see if I can find my channel here, and hopefully I will hear it go through. So in the meantime, I'm going to keep on talking. I think it's just having a delayed reaction right now, which is also possible. And I'll just keep talking until I can see my microphone move. So today is an interesting day. It is June the 13th. Whoever's in here right now, if you could hear me, just say so. Say, yes, I can, or put the number one in place. And hopefully I will see it. So today's channel is dealing with um, birthday numbers, and that was brought to my attention by looking specifically at the number 13 itself. And that kind of came to mind. Let's see if I can find live. Okay. Okay. So there's this opportunity to be able, yeah, I'm live now, to be able to see and hear things. Yeah, I'm live now. To be able to see and hear things. Yeah, I'm live now. To be able to see and hear things. All right. There's always these certain opportunities or way things present themselves. So I am now officially on here live because I can hear myself through everything, my phone, my iPad, and so forth. So today's topic is called The Power of Numbers, or the power of birthday numbers 13, 14, 15, and 16. This is my Clear Blue Radiance channel here as I broadcast normally every Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central, and 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics podcast channel. So I'm glad I got that all out. Okay, and I'm just going to type in the topic here in a minute. And there's like a little more extended version of what I mean by that. Well, I've been a spiritual counselor for over 40 plus years, and I enjoy helping people such as yourself or anyone that's here. Enjoy helping you find and get greater clarity to gain it in your life or regain it. Maybe you had it at one time and you kind of dissipated from you a little bit. So I'm here trying to help you reestablish that part with yourself. Now, I'm also through that helping you discover your particular purpose. Some of us know our purpose, and I'd like to let you know that purpose changes as you change, as you evolve. Your purpose changes slightly, and it gets a lot clearer every time you are evolving. What I mean by that is you're ascending your consciousness. You're getting and receiving more, higher consciousness, higher wisdom that you could put to use day to day. You're no longer living in the past. I know when I first got into this field, many people used to ask, well, who was I in a past life? And the reason for that, people are asking because probably the current life wasn't going as well. And they wanted to know, were they of someone of significance in a past life? Were they a ruler? Were they a well-known, public figure, not just a ruler? Were they some kind of entertainer? Were they an inventor, a writer, an artist? You name it. Were they well known? Were they living a better life? Well, according to the way things are looking now, we are understanding through quantum physics and all of this that we are living all of these so-called past lives in a parallel situation. So they're like just a lane away, I'll call it energetically a lane away from you. So sometimes you are in those, delving into those fields, those different dimensions of yourself. And if you're doing it right for yourself, you will discover that there is a wealthy you. There is a you that's not doing well. There is a sickly you. There's a one that is full of wellness, excitement, energy, longevity. There's one that has it all together. Is a business entrepreneur type person. You name it, you did it. There was a part of you that lived in another extended version, galactically. You were in Lyra, you were in Lemuria, you were in the Pleiades, you were in Andromeda, you were in Arcturians. You have your consciousness in being a cell of the creator itself, the cell of that bigger picture, that organic matrix, not the man made one, but the organic, more visible, more infinite version of yourself is all over the universe. And you can experience it at some point. So when I got up this morning, I was thinking, like, what am I going to talk about today? And I know I've been doing this now for, I guess, 2, 3 years since I think she established here, Michelle, this channel. So I feel like I think I've been doing this 3 years now. I probably have well over 170 different podcasts. Some of them I repeated once or twice because I was running out of topical information. But we're here to share with you metaphysical teachings and spiritual awareness so that you can upgrade your life currently for yourself. You don't have to wait until you get a little older. You don't have to wait till you gather more information. You don't have to wait till you feel more spiritual. You can do it now. You can implement tools. So I try to talk about something that not only have I experienced, but something I know that you have experienced. And so I want to bring that information to you right now. So here's the thing, today's topic is the power of numbers, but it's really the power of birthday numbers. The power of birthday numbers 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now, those numbers with their actual meanings at times, were attached to the tarot system of 78 cards, where you have 22 major arcana cards, and those were considered the heavens. Those are the 22 references connecting to the 12 signs of the zodiac wheel and the 10 planetary connections, which means there's 9 stars there in our current Milky Way system, and then Earth included. So it was looked at as the moon, the sun, the moon, the Earth. Okay, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. So those were the 9. And then, of course, astrologers have found the asteroids, Chiron, and all these other ones that have a major influence in your natal chart, in your solar progression, and so forth and so on. And so there's this awareness about things, right? There's this awareness that allows you to reach out and receive more information and do more and find out more things about yourself. So I'm bringing this to you on my podcast today, Clear Blue Radiance, today, Thursday, June 13th, 2024. And the 13 stood out in my mind. So I've been a numerologist, a practitioner, and teacher of the metaphysical science of numerology and how you can discover its spiritual light for your own life, how it actually can be utilized to assist you to have greater consciousness, higher consciousness, a better understanding of who you are and where you're headed, why you are here in this present now, this energy field called now. So these numbers, and before I jump into this, let me put this topic in here. More people are going to be joining in a hot minute. So this is clear blue radiance, and it'll make it easier for people to find. Today's date is Thursday, and it's June 13th, 2024. Now, this is a very powerful number, a powerful numerical day itself. And this topic was the power of birthday. I'm saying birth. Excuse me, I get excited. Birthday numbers 13, 14, 15, and 16. And this is going to be very important to basically understand how we could utilize the meaning of these numbers. Now, when people look at it and they think of the numbers basically that are the numbers basically that kind of push you in the direction of karmic things. And in the tarot, the system of the tarot, Western concept, more European Western concept of the tarot cards, Tarot, sometimes called the Royal Road of wisdom and understanding. It's royal because you're trying to weave the awareness of being on the earthly plane and the four elements and the 12 signs and the four cardinal directions. And you're trying to weave that under the heavens, which are the astrological influences with the 12 signs, 12 sun signs, and their governing planets. So, hey there, Jackie. Oh, there he made it. King Lemuel Productions. Thank you. And Jackie made it as well. I've realized I left out one person, but hopefully she'll see this kind of popping up in her feed in about a minute or so. And one of the things this brought to mind was when we're dealing as a numerologist and a practitioner and teacher of numerology for, as I say, 50 years, as I started in July of 1974, there's this awareness or this, I will say, information that was passed around. We might call it, just like today people think of conspiracy theories, right? And so one of the conspiracy theories in the tarot and numerology is that the birthday numbers 13, 14, 15, and 16 are karmic numbers, very difficult things for people to deal with. And it meant, and karma, in a justice sense in the street, people think what goes around comes around. That's how they describe karma. If you're doing something bad to someone, karmically, you're going to get that back. You're going to experience that either in this lifetime or another lifetime where you become the victim, right? So the oppressors out here oppressing people, they don't understand that they will experience that same thing because they're keeping this chain of reality going. They also do understand that, you transition from one life into another life. So maybe that's why they do all that negativity, because they're not going to die, really. Just on the physical world, they die and they awaken in another world. Okay, some people have been able to consciously move the soul into a next body of light. That's when you see the people of Tibetan background, Mongolians, and Hindu people, when they, and like the Dalai Lama, he's Tibetan, right? So people look at it, yeah, people look at it as this opportunity to come back into another life. Usually, in the fields of India and China and Japan and those other Asian countries, people always wondered if their master teacher, when he transitioned, would come back automatically. That means, like, if he died, let's say June 1st, 1886, they were looking for him to be born again within about a 60-year span, 100-year span, sometimes within a decade itself. A decade is like what, 30 years. So whenever he transitioned in that 30-year process, they're waiting for him to show up again. And often what they would do is, when the elders of the communities and the leaders, the spiritualists, the shamans, medicine people, they would gather around the parents, and they would bring back the toys that he or she played with. And if they saw the child picking up the favorite toy, then they would say that Dalai Lama, that king, that shaman, that sultan is back again, because they recognized the toy. That's kind of hard to prove, though, because maybe the baby's just picking it up because it's attracted to its appearance and the way it looks and the way it feels. But then, as the child gets older, they start paying attention to that child, boy or girl's mannerisms. They might say things that their former leader said long ago. They may walk, they may mimic them, they may jokingly say things, or they may just come in, drop in some wisdom, and they'll say, that let's put this child over here and let's see what's going on. This could be our elder teacher back again in this lifetime, because they saw it as one crossing over but coming back immediately. Where in some situations, the understanding is it may take several hundreds of years before that being evolves and comes back through again. So there's different things. So that's how people, study karma. And karma, the word karma, Karma, actually means work. It doesn't mean, you're back to throw negative shade on somebody or positive shade on somebody. Is really more about uh, you having an opportunity to work out and rebalance whatever you didn't complete in one lifetime, and where you choose to now become more repetitive in this lifetime, that how you could correct certain things you were doing with your personality traits. And so it was always this opportunity to value that and see ourselves having that opportunity to do so. And so let me just make sure this person gets this information. I emailed it out to so many people. Okay, so now I can shut my phone off and keep going. So, our birthday numbers, if you know of anybody that, now I'm not going to be doing numerology readings. What I'm trying to do is explain. Grand afternoon there, Sister Barbara Ewing. So, what I'm trying to do is explain how these numbers work, these compound numbers. I'm not going to do, what I would do on Lloyd's show. And I have my own YouTube channel. I just kind of show up there sporadically sometimes, and I'm talking about different topics, and I will do numerology on my own channel, Circle of Grace One. So, one of the things you want to look at here, these numbers by nature, karmically by nature, can be an actual blessing to anyone who has them. When I wrote my book, The Key to Life is Numerology, at the end of the book, I said all birthday numbers, not just the master numbers 11 and 22, but all birthday numbers, be it a single digit or a compound, 1 through 31. I've come to the realization that they are all master numbers. They're all master numbers because there's this opportunity to evolve right in the current lifetime. You don't have to wait till you know, like the late Reverend Ike would say, till you die and get your pie in the sky. You don't have to wait. You could just have the awareness, the knowledge of that right now. So here's what the number 13 means, because it's also a very powerful number to look at. Now, historically, there have been some things, from stock markets crashing to going way back in time when some between the Knights Templars and the Kings of England uh, owed a lot of money, right, to the Knights Templars. And so we took out a big loan, couldn't pay it back. So he decided on uh, a particular day, which happened to be Friday the 13th, believe in the month of October, he actually tried to wipe out the opposition that where he had to pay the money to. And I don't think it fared too well for him. So that's just the short way of putting it out there. That's one way to think, okay, it's an ominous day. It's not necessarily going to be a good day. There's, something behind it that's going to create a downfall energetically. Then the number 13 has played as a bad luck number. So when architects were building these buildings where they went from maybe back in the 1920s or 30s or 40s, buildings were only being built at about 4 or 5 stories, 10 stories, 12 stories, 15, maybe 20. And, then buildings like in New York City, the Empire State Building, having, 100 floors, so to speak. But I've ridden in that elevator and it doesn't have a 13th floor. I don't believe, I don't remember. I think what it does is they have two elevators in that building. So you can go up, but you don't take one and go all the way up to the top floor, the 100th floor. What happens is you go up maybe halfway. So you'll get up to floor number 50 and get out and then walk right next door and jump on elevator right there, 51, that takes you to the top. So, and some buildings, like in Chicago, I don't believe it's the Sears building, they had a 13th floor, but they wouldn't call it a 13th floor. They would call it floor 12A. 12A, that's the floor. Why? Because there's such a thing that's called, if I can pronounce it properly, triskaidekaphobia. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. So they felt like it was a bad luck number. I don't know. I've always had positive experiences. My older brother and I shared a P.O. box out in Uniondale, and the number we happened to get was 13. Well, he's born on the sign of Scorpio, and 13 is the number that represents Scorpio in the Tarot system. It worked out well for him. I shared that box with him, and it worked out well for me. Something about that number 13, even though it's slow and moving, but it worked out. Worked out for me because in my natal chart, my sun and moon are side by side. I mean, my Mars and moon are side by a degree or so in the sign of Scorpio. So it worked out well for me. I live in a residence where the street residence is adds to the number 4, and it has the number 1 and 3 in it. The numbers are just kind of reversed or split by a number or two. I lived at addresses also out here in Albuquerque where the address added to 13. I lived in a house, it was called Prenda de Oro, about something about gold, right? But the house number was 5800. 5 plus 8 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. So I've never had a problem with the number 13. To me, it's just a vibration that allows me to peer in to another aspect of myself. How you doing? Good afternoon, Sister Samara Woods. So, this opportunity to understand these numbers. The number 13, according to the Tarot system, the major arcana system, represents transition or a passing away of something or a person. It also represents rebirth, a time to rebirth oneself. It is also power and dominion, but it's more like personal power. And then through your own personal power or the development of your personal power, then you have dominion. You can rule your own life. Astrologically, it is Scorpio. It is also revealing secrets of the mind, body, soul, and spirit. So the number 13 is actually a very powerful number. I don't often like to hear people say, but they do it sometimes, just because I know they don't have quite enough experience. But they'll tell somebody that it's a poor number to have. Something is not going to ever work out in your life. There's always going to be tumbling down, losing, having loss of businesses, loss of money, loss in relationship, business partnership, marital loss of relationship with your children. So that's not the thing to tell somebody because, hey, their golden timeline. What happens is people can become free of those things. No one has to live a negative life because of what a number has or what a number has been attributed to. That doesn't have to happen. So when we think of this number 13, transition, well, transition sometimes is death. Excuse me, a little dust in the air here. The number 13 has you experiencing things. First, when we look at it, it's 10, and then unit column 3. All right, so 3 is creativity, 10 is also creativity. It's having a very strong inventive nature that's necessary in order to carry that vibration of 13. 13 also deals with the number 3 with youth, young minds, longevity, long life, a lot of vitality. So that's something that's developed with that number 13. There's the number when you look at the 10, 1 plus 0 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 10. So what happened is that you are beginning to see how you could change your life and become more practical. But sometimes with the power of the 13, it means that a person has an uncanny nature to be able to connect with all sources and all kinds of people. So 13 personality is very important. It means that individual that carries the number 13, they can attach themselves to various situations where they can grow their wisdom, grow their knowledge, right? They can put themselves with older people. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 is a part of the old soul trilogy of birthday numbers that add to 4, 7, and 8. And so this is something that one would have to comprehend or understand. And it's a lot of work, but it can be done. Now, also, since it's astrologically Scorpio, Scorpio rules over the sexual organs. So it would mean that person that's having a number 13 as a birthday number, they should really understand how the procreative organs work and also how to understand them from a spiritual standpoint. So that's the powerhouse in the body. They need to know how to respect and protect and keep it clean and clear and high vibrant energy that goes with it. It's very, very important. You don't want to be losing your life because your sexual energy is not where it's supposed to be. This is where the practice of yoga systems come into play. and the study of Kundalini energy, the serpentine energy, which is origination at the base of the spine and connects through the sacral chakra, the genitals, and all of that. This is why people practice tantric yoga, which is learning how to control the body, and you link it up with the mind so the person doesn't lose any seminal fluid, you see, but they'll take that seminal fluid and replay it right back into their body. Qigong masters, high vibrant Qigong masters study these things as well. So it's learning how to control the body, that gateway of the body, and not let it run wild, not allow yourself to wear yourself out. That's the power of the 13. So it's revealing the secrets of the body, right? But I also said revealing secrets of the mind. The mind is those thinking faculties, the sensations of logic and reasoning and all of that, and sensing things on different levels within our brain. Okay, and then the brain has the folds and the synapses and everything that in there, it kind of mimics the universe. It mimics the underground energy in Mother Earth. We have all of that up here, right? We have, two hemispheres, but there's actually a back lobe and a front lobe at the same time. So there's so many things within the brain that can teach you about yourself in your relationship to the universe through divine source. Then there's the understanding of the soul. Now, in my understanding with the remembrance of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, uh, the soul essence is the accumulation of your awareness of living in various dimensions and times and eras of time. Your soul has accumulated all that knowledge from wherever you have lived. It's like your record keeper, right? It's like you're like a detective Columbo in spirit, but you're taking notes all the time and recording those notes and storing those notes within the body, within especially the subconscious mind up there in the brain, and the subconscious mind is just a replica of the universe and everything around it. It's not judging anything, it's letting information in, letting information go through it, and then releasing information out into its vicinity, in through its auric field, into the world at large. There is the understanding of the secrets of the spirit, as the who are we. We're not just some physical form walking around here on the earth plane, not knowing who we are. The spirit nature is telling us to delve deep inside and start to bring that forward. What is it that you understand about who you truly are? You're just not, blood, bones, nerve systems, and muscles and nails, fingernails, toenails, hair. You're not just that. You're more than that. What is giving you the consciousness? What are you consciously aware of that's speaking through you at all times and relaying information out into the world? Who's that inside of you that's planting seeds? So we want to come to an awareness that we are this living, breathing personality that has embedded in every part of our body, right down to our skin and fascia, is the knowledge and wisdom and understanding of our true self. The secret is no longer a secret because people are constantly knocking at the door. The secret is no longer a secret, it's no longer a conspiracy. You are this divine being functioning. We just been taught that you can't be the divine being. You can't be that. Everybody is, and everybody shall become. So we're in the state of remembrance at this time. So, what about the birthday number 14? This number in the tarot, I should describe the number 13 as the major arcana. It usually shows a figure, a skeletal figure, riding a white horse, but it's sort of like at nighttime, so the horse looks gray. Okay. It has black armor on, and some of the armor could be shiny or tattered. Okay. So it's like a warrior of life itself, and the skeleton, and it carries a scythe, like that curved kind of blade on a stick. Right. It in the background is the papal crown, the Pope's crown on the ground. It has the bones of fish, on the ground. It's got old wilted flowers on the ground. It's got a mountain in the background with, I believe, two towers, and you see the sun rising. So that's what they call that part, like eventually getting to a state of rebirth. So the 13th is a powerful card. We are warriors in our own life, and we're learning to let the battle defeat us, which is really the battle of the ego, to be defeated and then allow ourselves to step in to the realm of the divine, into the heart of divinity, into total consciousness. So that's an aspect of description. Different tarot artists and who have come together have their own different systems of looking at it. Depends on which way you want to study. Then in the major arcana card, birthday number 14. This is a card or number that represents balance and moderation, purification of the soul, the body, the emotions, the mind, the thoughts. Okay, astrologically, it's Sagittarius, which is the symbol of being on the path to the higher self. When you look at the tree of life, you got one triangle like that, Kether here, and one side is on the right. When you're looking at the right side, I believe is called Hokmah or Chokmah, I call it, and then across from that is Bina. So one is a divine wisdom or divine father, divine masculine, and the other is divine feminine, the mother energy. And Kether is the crown, and there's three layers of light above that. Well, that's the highest part. But then there's another part that goes across and points down, and it's sitting on these other points that are connecting us. And one is Jupiter, and the other is Mars. So we're going back and forth this taut line that we dance between. But when those 2 points come down, they point into the heart. When those 2 points from the shoulders are pointing into the heart is the sun. Okay, is the center of all things. All right, and that triangle pointing down, there's a triangle pointing up, but there's the triangle pointing down. When that triangle is pointing down, that symbolizes the higher self, the journey into the higher self. Sagittarius represents the higher self walking around on earth, where Gemini, its opposite sign, is like the lower self, the splitting up between what's right and what's wrong. Okay, so this nature of the 14 is balance and moderation. That's what we're always working on. So if you have the birthday number 14, you're here to create balance and moderation for yourself. But when you add the numbers 1 plus 4, it equals 5. And 5 is Mercury sitting behind there. But that number 5 is the ability to adapt to any given situation that's going on in your life. You don't have to let yourself get rolled over by the steamroller of life itself. You can get back up and work your way around these things. You don't have to always jump over the hurdle, because sometimes, like you see in a track meet, people jumping off the hurdle, if their rhythm is off, they knock down the hurdle with their lead foot. Some people stumble, can get hurt because they're not going over the hurdle properly, but they would be disqualified if they went around the hurdle. So either jump over it or knock it over, one or the other, but don't go around it. In other words, the life's lesson is face what's in front of you. Don't run from it, face it, but you can deflect it. That you can do. You can push it out of the way or push it aside. So that is the nature of that. And the number 14 as a birthday number represents purification of one's soul. Like I say, the soul is the accumulation of all the wisdom, ups and downs you've had from one lifetime to another. In essence, it kind of holds on to some of the Akashic information that you need to know about, right? But it's also a purification of the body, right? Where you're going through things. That's why we fast sometimes to detox the body. We do a liver fast, we do a kidney fast, we do cleanse out the colon, right? And get that going. There's so many things that we learn how to do. We actually go on a physical fast to give the body a chance to regroup and reheal itself. Okay, but then there's a purification of the emotions, but not just that, a purification of the thoughts. And so, what we're trying to do is we're trying to reach a balance, like the juggler, between what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And the whole idea is you might be juggling those things back and forth, but what you're striving to do is bring them together in harmony. I always say, whatever you're thinking, you want to be feeling the same way. Whatever you're feeling, you want to be feeling what you are thinking. When you're doing that, then there's a quicker and better alignment where the mind and heart now can work together and things can be what I call smooth sailing. Now you have the number 15. And this birthday number 15 is unique. It represents the war of the carnal nature versus the spiritual, or materialism and capitalism, which is part of the carnal world. Materialism and capitalism working against what? Your freedom to be free of that. So the 14 gives you, in other words, 13 and 14 are building you up toward 15. Astrologically, the 15th number is Capricorn. That's the goat person, goat personality. Goats eat anything. There's certain goat animals that can, with their hoofs and the sharpness of their hoofs, can literally, run on the side of a mountain, and sit at the top, climb to the steepest part, and sit there and looking over everything. You go, how's that animal do that? And doesn't fall and bring themselves off the top. So, it's about enslavement to the physical world or freedom from it. That's the nature of the 15. Either you're enslaved by the fantasy of you see in the physical world and how much money you can have and how many homes can you have and, other things that you're doing. Yes, Lemuel, all these things, we're racing after the capitalism, the materialism. We want to have more, those phrases, you're competing with the Joneses next door. They got a nice yard, you're going to have a nice yard too because you're in competition. They're thinking like, why are you doing that? I just love to beautify my yard. I'm not doing it to look better than other people. I get a kick out of beautifying my yard, fixing up my house. Yeah, I got an old car and I got a new car. But it's 15 is how we get enslaved by material things or the wanting of things that can actually bring harm. It's like what the Reverend Ike used to say. He would say, money is not the root of evil. He would say the lack of money. So if you don't have your part of finances, then this is why people go out and they commit crimes, robbing other people. Why? Because they lack. They're in the state of lack and poverty. They have a poverty consciousness and they're lacking, which means they don't have the same thing that you have, or they don't know how to have a better life for themselves. How can they work that out so life can be better for them and they don't have to want after someone else's material goods? Okay, so that was like astrologically Capricorn. Now in astrology, to understand it, Capricorn can represent, the ideal fatherhood, and Cancer, its opposite, is the ideal motherhood energy. So Capricorn can represent the divine father and Cancer the divine mother. But one has to come to recognize that. So they have to learn how to unhook themselves from being enslaved mentally to anything that's material or carnal by nature. Then is the birthday number 16. The birthday number 16 represents the loss of faith and the loss of one's name and reputation. It's the status through ego, the loss of their status, and that comes through ego entanglement. I mean, you're just caught up in the ego, me, I, and there's no we. There are people who like that, right? You can work for different people. And in the beginning, they might give you the appearance of that it's a we, it's a team. But then after a couple of months being there to a year, you find out it's nothing like that. The person that's the so-called boss has a boss over them, and they're all pointing the finger at you and trying to make you do all the work and get very little rewards for it. So 16 represents the loss of one's name and reputation, status through ego entanglement, a fall from grace, a fall from grace. When things were just running smooth, then the fall from grace comes. Why? Because what these other numbers are trying to tell us is that we are allowing our ego to override our pure, innocent self. And when that happens, then all H breaks out, right? You're having arguments every day with your life partner, arguments with your children, relatives, arguments with your neighbor, arguments with politicians, arguments with doctors, arguments with lawyers, and it just goes on and on and on. And so there's this, everything is, what's the phrase I used to hear? Miscombobulated. Everything is not in place as it should be. Astrologically, this represents Mars, the warrior. But Mars doesn't have to be the fighter. Mars can be the one that plays a mental chess game that turns everything around in his or her favor. This is the revealing the ability to implement intuition into our life. The ability to implement intuition. Intuition is already knowing what you need to know. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to, psychically try to pick up on bits and pieces of the information. This means you use your deep level of intuition, and intuition is to get into it, as I say, to know who you are and then work from there. All right. Is the revealing of the ability to implement intuition, connect with divine source energy as, in quotes, I am, the I am presence, and return through grace. Now, people say there's grace and there's mercy. They're actually one side of each other. But grace is the ability to receive without merit. In other words, you're not singled out to get it, you just get it. And we say that again. Grace is receiving it without asking for it, and also without positioning yourself to receive it, without merit. In other words, you're not rewarded grace. It's there. It's in the energy. It's in the atmosphere rolling around. And the way to receive it is to get absolutely quiet. When you get absolutely quiet, then you can determine what is important or what's not important in your life. Grace calls for simplicity. No matter if you have a lot of things, keep it simple. That's what you're striving to do in order to receive more grace. Then you don't have to say, Lord, have mercy on my soul. You don't have to say that the higher power will have mercy. The higher you are a part of the higher power. So therefore, you are reconnected to the higher power. Sometimes we go through situations because we're holding on too tight. I'll say that again. We go through the ups and downs of life so much that it's a greater hurdle than we can imagine, is because we are what? Holding on to what we have too tight. We have to like loosen the grip so more things can come in and push some old things out. That's important. So you have to be able to step forward. And when you do that, then you'll realize that grace or divine grace is divine intervention happening. You're praying for a connection. You're praying for an opportunity to move on. You're praying for an opportunity to be free rather than encumbered by everything that's going on around you. So, in this respect, one is like leaning toward divinity. How to have that mind of divinity. Well, here are the keys, and I've said them time and time again. The keys that assist you are learning how to do affirmations. Then you can speak the truth about yourself utilizing the affirmation, learning how to write your own prayer. You can go to a Bible, you can go to a Quran, you can go to the Bhagavad Gita, you can go to the sutras, whatever you want to go to, and pull out a prayer. But here's the deal. If you don't remember living in those time zones when those prayers were built, or made, it's going to take a little harder for the prayer to work for you. That's why it's important that you write your own prayer. And if you want, make it an intentional prayer where you tune it into being an affirmative prayer, where you acknowledge that which is greater than yourself. That's one. Then you acknowledge your connection to that which is greater than yourself. And then you place the statement, the seed statement, out into the world. You don't say, I need such and such. I desire to have, and I'm thankful for all that I have been given, but now I'm open to more. I'm open to what I'm asking for as this or something better. And that one inside of you called higher self will now step forward and do everything on your behalf so that you can achieve what you need to achieve now rather than later. Okay, this is highly important. You learn how to write decrees, which is an affirmation multiplied. You learn how to do that. You learn how to step into meditation and soul traveling. So you learn how to get the information while you're asleep. You might get it while you're lucid dreaming, which means you become consciously aware in the dream that you're having a dream, but you know your physical body is still asleep. So this talk today is really taking all of these numbers, even if you don't have them, put them in motion for yourself. Drop triskaidekaphobia. Try not to have a fear of the 13. Because if you have a fear of the 13, you're going to have a fear of the 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 of the major arcana. You're not going to allow yourself to get through it because you're going to tie yourself up with old data, with old thoughts, with other people's fears that brought out your own fears. What you want to do is find your path and keep creating your path. Stay grounded, stay centered, love yourself more, and guess what? The more you do that for yourself, and the more you live in a state of gratitude for yourself, you will attract more positive situations, attract more positive people, attract more positive awareness gifts into your life. Why? Simply because you can remember. That's my message for today. I hope you enjoyed it. You can come back here and replay this over and over again. Like I always say, meditation is something that saves us a lot of hardship, but it's not going to allow you to use it right away. You got to build the energy up for it. You have to build the energy up for the mind and for your consciousness of it, of the blood and what the blood carries. Blood carries chi. Nerve system carries chi. Muscle system carries chi. Ligaments carry chi. The bone itself carries chi, and the bone seeps in, makes the bone supple rather than harsh and brittle, seeps into that part within the bone called the bone marrow. That's where the chi can go if you can relax the body and the mind. The chi can go there and then replenishes everything within the bone. The bone looks normal and natural. These are things that we want to be able to be aware of, and that we don't have to shock ourselves into something and thinking we cannot achieve. We should be able to achieve exactly what we say that we want. And I can guarantee you, since we're just in the early phase of the sign of Aquarius, we're getting to do that right now. We are beginning to state it and see it happen for ourselves. And this is why I always say put a little emotional energy in thought and words so that when you speak what you're saying, you can feel it working in the ethers. And at some point, you know it's coming back to you. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Oh, before I close out, Indigo Moon said this was very interesting. I have an interview today and almost canceled because it's the 13th. I thought it was bad luck and I'm a Scorpio. No, 13 is the power to turn things around. 13 in numerology, 13 is the center. It's another aspect of the sun. 1 plus 3 is 4, which is Uranus, which is connected to the sun. It's the hub of the universe, that number 13. So you can make these things happen. Look, we're not going to control everything, but for the most part, we're going to control a lot of things. And one of the things we got to control is ourselves, and we have to get rid of the old tapes, the old things. So now we are in the age of Aquarius. According to many astrologers, Martin Luther King this year, his birthday, Monday, January the 15th, 2024, kicked off a new 2100 or 2,160-year cycle, which is now the age of Aquarius. This is where things get revealed. This is when we begin to open up. When we open up our minds and we realign ourselves through our chakras, we realign our environments, we eat better, we do better, we exercise, we start gravitating toward positive people, and positive situations are gravitating toward us. So as I say again, my grace is your grace. I'm going to see you next week, hopefully at the same time, same bat channel, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central, and 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Leave more questions and comments here, or send your questions and comments to iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. Take care of yourself. Have a great weekend.